Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the commodities update video. And today we'll be talking about natural gas, UNG, oil, silver, gold, as well as the US dollar. And we'll be looking at their support and resistance levels, and as well as what's the most likely scenario price will be heading into later this week. And we have a ton to talk about with natural gas because we look like we're having a capitulation day today. And capitulation bottom just means that all the seller that wants to sell are out, and we'll have to see. Let's see if the bulls can actually show up or not. And I have a Discord link in my bio and YouTube bio, and make sure to check that out. And it's all free. Feel free to come hang out, talk about stocks. Let's get started. So we are looking at natural gas on the 1 hour time frame. So make sure to click adjusted. So adjust for the contracts. So your chart looks the same as mine. And essentially we were down quite a bit in the morning, close to 10% after a waterfall drop of 26%. Not including this one, of course, but 26% and another 10% in the same day with a climax volume. You can see we have a climax volume here today where it's one of the highest volumes we had in a while since this one. And at the same time, we pretty much reshaped most of those losses, other than the ones that we have, the ones in pre-market we haven't reshaped yet. But we reshaped pretty much all the selling pressure from during market open. And now the question is this the actual temporary bottom for natural gas, or we may get more downside? So now let's take a look at the technicals. So at this given moment, even though we V-shape, we are still in a hourly, 4-hour, daily, weekly, monthly downtrend. So every time frame is currently still going against natural gas. But you guys know how I always talk about the size of the bounces or pullbacks may give a chance for the opposition to have a trend change. So now we have a big enough bounce for on the hourly chart now. So let's see if the bulls can even give us an hourly trend change. An hourly trend change means that we need a pivot being set, meaning that's a higher low. The pivot needs to be higher than this low. And then we got to make a higher high after we pivot, just like this. Or we set a pivot and then it goes lower. That's an hourly downtrend. So we need to see one for the uptrend. Sets a pivot and then goes higher. Still get more bounce. If we get even bigger room on the bounce, then we get even more room for to set that pivot once we have a pullback, and see if we can change the hourly uptrend. If the bulls cannot even change the hourly uptrend, then we're probably still going to go head lower. But as of now, it does look like a capitulation bottom due to the volume and the V-shaped recovery and the size of the drop this morning. So there's 3 signals kind of showing us a little bit of temporary bottom, but it's really hard to catch the bottom for natural gas, because even just looking back at history, right, we could have said it was capitulating bottom over here after such a significant drop, right? And next thing you know, it drops another 20%, right? Or we can say the capitulation bottom was here. We tried to nail the bottom here. So it's tough to nail bottoms in natural gas, but that's why you want to see trend changes before we try to get in. As of now, I would say let's take a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour EMA 12, still a resistance, but I would say let's see if it's more clear on the 6-hour. 6 hours a little bit more clear for the EMA 12 resistance. 8-hour is probably the most clear. So if we can't break over EMA 12 with teal looking line on the 8 hours, you can see the resistance, rejection, 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 rejection. We are about 3.5% away. So let's see when we do get there. My guess is because if we V-shape all the way up to there again, we will, if we don't get any pullbacks before we get there, we'll probably get a slight pullback, and then we'll have to see the bulls can actually shape that pivot and head higher if we V-shape to there. But if we had pullbacks along the way while we're getting up there, like some consolidation happening, then the chances of us getting through it right away would be a lot higher. But if we just V-shape all the way up to there and it hits it, then we may pull back a little bit before we can try to break above it. So let's see. Bulls can do that. So we got to break above 12 EMA on the 8 hours and shape up the hourly uptrend. ideally, we get a 4-hour uptrend as well. That would be the most ideal case. Um, and if those we can get all three of those, then we may potentially say this is a temporary bottom. And that was a capitulation bottom. So let's take a look here, see any supports. So I do see a support here. Let's take a look here. Huh, interesting. If I had saw this earlier, I probably would have taken it right at the bottom. But hindsight 2020 is always easier. Let's see. So yeah, this I would say it's a support. Bounce, 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 bounce. Looks like we bounced off of that there pretty much on the dot today. So now we have a couple of signals, 3 to 4 signals saying that was a temporary bottom. At the same time, we still haven't changed the trend yet. So we want to get that hourly trend change as well as the 4-hour trend change, as well as breaking above this key EMA 12 8-hour resistance. Because if we just come up to it, hits it, next thing you know, we're going to hit the lower low, then that could also happen as well because it never changed the trend and we're still in a downtrend. And we haven't broken up the key resistance where it has been trend rejecting from it 7 times. So rejecting it from another time is not going to be any surprises. And so, yeah, let's see if it happens. Let me just take a look on the weekly real quick, see if anything. Yeah, weekly is still in a downtrend, of course. This is what a weekly downtrend looks like. A drop, pivot being set. You see how this high is lower than this high, and it breaks to a new low. So that was a weekly downtrend confirmed right there when it broke, and it just went rock. Yeah, weekly trend just takes a long time to shape up. We don't even have the hourly trend to the bull sign, so we don't even need to be looking at the weekly at the moment. But yeah, if I was a bear, I probably would have covered after a 10%, at 20% cap down open. But same thing, area in 12. Who knows? You could go even lower, right? Comes up, hits that, was even lower. You can just re-add. But so we'll see if bulls can do anything this week. All right, let's take a look at UNG. So UNG obviously trades with Natgas, and very clear on the 4-hour EMA 12 resistance. So 8 hours is more clear for natural gas. 4 hours is more clear for UNG. You can see rejection, 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 and let's see when we bounce up to here, will we get able to break up above this 4-hour EMA 12 or not? Similar look as well. Let's take a look at the volume, see if we can get a capitulation. One of the highest volumes as well. You can see ever since all the way back here, and that was also a capitulation bottom here. So yeah, volumes always shows a lot. It could be a lot of sellers, buyers today. A lot of sellers in the morning, a lot of buyers in the afternoon, of course. And yeah, first step, fill the gap and give me an hourly uptrend as well. Big enough bounce, keep going, and then give me that pivot. Then break the 4-hour EMA 12. And see if when we break that 4-hour EMA 12, let's see if we can get a 4-hour uptrend. And then we can really say this was a actual capitulation bottom. Daily chart here. Yeah, just straight down. RSI 19. Weekly RSI getting close to, so we're probably at 30 below in the morning. But yeah, that 4-hour EMA 12 is really key for me. See, we have the same resistance or not. I mean, support zone. Let's take a look. Huh. Interesting. We do actually have a similar support, but a little bit off. Let's take a look, see like that. Yeah. But yeah, same thing as natural gas. This black looking support here that we had from marking bottom. If we don't break above 12 EMA, this 4-hour 12 EMA and come back down, then this black looking line is going to be my last level of support. All right, let's say we bounce back, hits that 12 EMA, and then come back down again, retest. It'll probably be somewhere a little bit lower than today, but we'll see what happens when we do end up testing that 4-hour EMA 12. Getting pretty close. And yeah, about like 3% away. And for Natgas, it's about 4%. So if Natgas breaks first, 4%, this will likely break too as well. Ideally, we break above it and then come back and retest it, and the line, the tail looking line, acts as support, and then bounce off of that. That would be the most ideal case for goals. All right, let's take a look at oil. Let's take a look here. Okay, so oil hit pretty much my last level of support on this maroon looking line. Support. Exactly, hit on the dot. I think we drew this one together as well. And there, and now we are testing resistance. So we are still in a daily, let's see, big drop, bounce back up, now testing resistance. We need to get over the 66.6. Ideally, for rolls, you want to fill this gap above us, because this low, double bottom low at 67.47 is going to act as resistance. So if we come up, hits that wall, rejects, then we're probably heading lower and come back down to retest this again. But if we can get over that gap and head higher, as well as break above this teal looking line, resistance, you can see it's acting as resistance all the time. We never really close above it. You can see we kind of like went above it and straight shot back down close below it as well. So that tail looking line is still going to act as resistance. So first step for bulls, fill the gap, and then second step is to break above this 12 EMA. Bears, you guys are pretty comfortable at the moment. There's still a bear flag. We have only retraced probably 23.6%. As long as it's below 38.2%, it's still a bear flag. The idea of a bear flag is just that psychology of it. It's a shallow retracement, meaning it's a weak bounce. But at the moment, we need to see a turnaround before we can say the flag is forming. Currently, not yet. Let's click on the hourly. Yeah, it looks okay as well. Yeah, so those are the two steps I want to see on a daily chart. Fill the gap first. All right, let's take a look at gold. All right, so after this capitulation top day, where you can see as well as volume climax top, hitting resistance, this black looking line resistance, resistance. We're talking about where that was likely a top, because you don't want to break to an all-time new high, breaking below this new 52 high, and goes to a new high, and then V-shape all the way back to the original price, kind of like natural gas, where we break below and then kind of like V-shape, right? But so this is what you want to see on natural gas, but on the opposite side, the green candles, where we V-shape, and then the next day you get more follow through, right? So we pretty much came back tested this prior resistance. So you see that little bounce there, where we bounced, back tested this prior black line, which was acting as resistance, support, resistance, and now I act as support because resistance because we're below it, and we rejected. So then we came back down. So now that's daily downtrend confirmed because we broke this prior pivot low. Now I'm going to be looking down at this maroon looking resistance support now. If we do come down there, support, and let's see if bulls can hold this 1960 level for gold here as well. So if they don't hold that, we're probably going to come back down to 1909 if 1960 don't hold. Yep, at this moment, bears are in control. Hourly downtrend, 4-hour downtrend, and daily also in a downtrend at this moment. Weekly is still in an uptrend though. So as long as bulls hold above this weekly pivot right there at 1931, then it's still the weekly uptrend. It is a pretty big pullback. So this may look like a head and shoulders. Comes back all the way down here, bounces, and then head lower. So we'll see if that head and shoulder shapes up. And you can see the left shoulder's here, and this is the head. If we go a little bit more lower, then the head is done forming, and then we'll see if we form a little bit of that right shoulder. So also, it'll take a while since these are weekly candles. All right, let's take a look at the dollar. So dollar bouncing makes sense. Dollar and the metals are inversely correlated. And when dollar bounces, metals gets a little bit weaker. So we had to bounce, and finally, big enough bounce where we can, when we pull back, we have enough space to change the trend. So we did back test the 12 EMA, bounced back above it. We went slightly above it for daily uptrend, but lacking absolute zero follow through. And now we have a double top at 104.2. Essentially, the dollar is just waiting for CPI data tomorrow. And because inflation data will really affect the dollar and the yields. So tomorrow will be the big move. And Wednesday, there's going to be Jerome Powell speaking. So that's also going to move the yields and the dollar as well. And rate hike decision is 99% a rate hold. So we'll have to see what Jerome says afterwards. That's the more important one. So we will know. All right. But yeah, we'll see if you can break that double top. If not, 104.2 is going to reject again. Then we'll probably roll over. If we get a CPI data tomorrow and dollar shoots up, we'll break that resistance. So we'll see. Daily trend is, I'm just going to say we have a daily uptrend without follow through at this moment. And let's see if we get a follow through tomorrow. All right. Let's look at silver. Silver, huge pullback as well. And yeah, that's even more pullback than gold. Silver is usually more volatile than gold. So it makes sense. Remember, gold has such a huge pullback. Silver will have an even bigger pullback. So silver didn't make a new all-time high. We pretty much rejected from this high, this blue line at 25.8. And just kind of flushed through all the supports. We even flushed through this one where it was resistance, this mirror looking line, and just cut through it. So let's take a look and see where we'll be heading into. Ideally, if 22.5 doesn't hold, we're probably coming down to 22.23. And as of now, no signs of slowdown at this moment. You can see on the hourly chart, it just keeps on going lower. Hourly trend is our guide. See if it's trending on the 4 hour. Okay, so 4 hour EMA 12 is going to be our trending guide. You can see as long as silver cannot get over 4 hour EMA 12, which is rejecting from it all the time, it will probably keep heading lower. But we're getting a little bit oversold on the 4 hour, but that doesn't mean we have to bounce. We can just bounce a little bit and cool things off and head lower again, just like these small bounces along the way, small bounces along the way, small bounces along the way, and new low, new low, new low. So we'll see if the bulls can hold these levels. And if I were to go long, the very minimum I want to see is the hourly trend change to the uptrend on the hourly. So we don't have any of that yet. We need a big enough bounce to confirm a pivot and change the trend. If not, I wouldn't be interested in long here at this moment. All right, that's all I got for you guys. And feel free to subscribe, like, and share if you guys made this far or learn anything. And feel free to support the channel on the Patreon page, as well as feel free to come hang out in the Discord room. And I will see you guys later this week. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Patreon or comment below. Have a great rest of you guys today.